I stared at my phone, trying to make sense of the photos flooding my screen. Crystal blue water, white sand beaches, palm trees swaying in tropical wind. And there, right in the center of every single image, were my parents and my younger sister Jade, grinning like they'd won the lottery. The text from my mother read, "Having an amazing time in Hawaii. Weather is perfect." I felt my stomach drop. Just 3 weeks ago, my parents told me they couldn't afford a family vacation this year. When I called, my mother answered on the third ring, her voice bright and carefree. "Oh, Armand, we decided to take just Jade. She really needed a break from work." That familiar sting of being the forgotten child hit me harder than ever before. Growing up in suburban Phoenix, Arizona, I'd always known I was second place in my parents' hearts. It wasn't something they ever said outright, but actions speak louder than words ever could. I remember sitting in the bleachers during my high school basketball championship game, scanning the crowd for my parents' faces. They never showed up. Later that night, I found out they'd stayed home because Jade had a slight cold and needed someone to bring her soup. She was 16 years old and perfectly capable of heating up a can of Campbell's by herself. But apparently, that was more important than watching their son score the winning basket. When I turned 18 and prepared for college, I needed a car to get to my part-time job and classes. My parents bought Jade a brand new Toyota Corolla in metallic blue. For me, they handed over the keys to our late grandfather's pickup truck, a 15-year-old Ford with a temperamental transmission and a driver's side door that only opened from the outside. I drove that truck for 6 years, fixing it myself when it broke down because I couldn't afford a mechanic. College tuition told the same story. Jade's 4 years at Arizona State University were completely paid for by our parents. When I asked about help with my education, my father sat me down at the kitchen table and explained that they'd used most of their savings on Jade's schooling. I'd need to figure it out myself. So I worked 2 jobs throughout my time at Northern Arizona University, studying kinesiology while serving tables at a steakhouse and stocking shelves at a grocery store overnight. I graduated with honors and $43,000 in student loan debt. The celebration after my graduation was a small dinner at a chain restaurant. My parents seemed distracted, checking their phones constantly. When Jade graduated 2 years later with a barely passing grade point average, they threw her a party that cost thousands of dollars. They rented out a country club banquet hall, hired a DJ, and invited over 100 people. I was expected to attend and smile through every minute of it. After graduation, I moved to Denver, Colorado, for my career as a physical therapist. The distance felt necessary. I loved my family, but loving them from 400 miles away hurt less than watching the constant favoritism up close. Jade stayed in Phoenix, landing a job as a marketing coordinator at a mid-sized firm. She still lived at home, paying no rent, while I struggled to afford my 1-bedroom apartment in a decent neighborhood. For the past 3 years, I'd been saving every spare dollar to buy my first house. My girlfriend Beth and I had been dating for 18 months, and we'd talked about building a future together. She worked as an elementary school teacher, and we both lived frugally, cooking at home and skipping expensive vacations. The down payment fund had reached $32,000. I was proud of that number. It represented sacrifice and discipline. Beth had met my family twice, and both visits left her confused and angry on my behalf. "They don't even ask you questions about your life," she said after the second visit. "Your mother spent 2 hours talking about Jade's new haircut, but when you mentioned getting promoted at work, she just nodded and changed the subject." I'd shrugged it off. You can't miss what you never had. So when I saw those Hawaii photos, I felt the old familiar ache. I texted back, "Looks beautiful. Have a great time." My mother's response came 30 minutes later. Just a thumbs up emoji. Not even a full sentence. 3 days passed. I tried not to think about it, throwing myself into work and planning a weekend hiking trip with Beth. Then my phone rang at 2 in the morning. I fumbled for it in the darkness, my heart already racing. Late-night calls never brought good news. "Armand?" My father's voice sounded strained, almost panicked. "We need your help. It's Jade. She's been arrested." I sat up in bed, fully awake now. Arrested? For what? There was an incident at the hotel. She got into an altercation with one of the employees. The bail is $5,000, and we need you to wire us the money immediately. Tonight, the audacity of the request hit me like a physical blow. They'd excluded me from their vacation, and now they wanted me to bail them out of the consequences. What kind of altercation? I asked, keeping my voice steady. Does it matter? She's your sister. She needs help. We know you've been saving money, and family helps family. That phrase, family helps family. I'd heard it my entire life, but it only ever seemed to apply in one direction. I need more information before I send $5,000, I said. My father's voice hardened. Fine. She defended herself against a hotel worker who made inappropriate comments. The police overreacted. Are you going to help your sister or not? I told him I'd call back in an hour. I needed to think. The phone rang again 15 minutes later. This time it was my mother, and she was crying. Armand, please. Your sister is sitting in a jail cell. She's terrified. How can you even hesitate? After everything we've done for you, after raising you and putting a roof over your head, you're going to abandon her now? The guilt crashed over me in waves. That was always their weapon of choice. Guilt, obligation, the unspoken debt I supposedly owed for being born. Mom, I just need to understand what actually happened. What happened is that your sister needs her brother, and you're acting like we're asking you for a kidney. It's $5,000, Armand. You've been hoarding money for years. Hoarding, as if saving for a future was something selfish, as if I hadn't earned every single dollar. Blood is thicker than water, she continued. What kind of brother are you? What kind of man turns his back on his family? Beth, who'd woken up when my father called, squeezed my hand. She'd been listening to the whole conversation. I took a deep breath. I'm going to call the hotel directly and find out what happened. Then I'll decide. My mother's tears stopped abruptly. You're going to waste time investigating your own sister? That's what you think of her? I think I deserve the truth before I empty my savings account. I hung up before she could respond. It took 3 calls to get through to the right person at the Maui Grand Resort. The night manager, a man named Patrick, was professional but clearly exhausted. Are you a family member of Jade Holloway? He asked. I'm her brother. Then I can share some information with you. Your sister became intoxicated at our hotel bar last evening. Around 11:30, our bartender Marcus informed her that he couldn't serve her any additional alcohol due to her level of intoxication. She became verbally abusive, calling him names I won't repeat. When he maintained his position, she threw a rocks glass at him. The glass shattered against his forearm, requiring 12 stitches. We have the entire incident on security camera footage. My chest tightened. And she's claiming he harassed her? Patrick's sigh told me everything. Miss Holloway has made several accusations that our footage directly contradicts. Marcus is a 22-year-old college student working his way through school. He followed protocol exactly. Your sister was the aggressor in every sense of the word. Has anything else happened this week? With my sister, I mean. There was a pause. I probably shouldn't share this. But yes. We had to speak with her twice earlier in the week about noise complaints from other guests. She and your parents were arguing loudly at 2 a.m, and she was asked to leave the pool area on Monday for inappropriate behavior. I thanked Patrick and ended the call. Beth was watching me. Her expression, a mixture of sympathy and anger. They lied to you, she said quietly. They always do. I dialed my parents' number. When my father answered, I didn't give him time to speak. I talked to the hotel manager. I know what really happened. Jade assaulted someone. She wasn't defending herself. He's lying to cover his employee. They have video footage, Dad. Silence. Then, fine. She made a mistake. She'd been drinking. But she's still your sister, and she's in jail. Are you really going to leave her there over one bad decision? I'll send money on one condition. You both acknowledge the truth about what Jade did. No more lies. No more excuses. My father's voice turned ice cold. You've always been jealous of your sister, always looking for reasons to tear her down. This is who you really are, Armand. Petty and vindictive. The line went dead. Beth pulled up her phone, fingers moving quickly across the screen. I've been following Jade's Instagram, she said. I wanted to see what she was posting about this trip. She handed me her phone, and I scrolled through Jade's feed. The posts went back 2 full weeks, not the few days my parents had mentioned. Photo after photo showed Jade at beach bars, expensive restaurants, and sunset cruises. The captions were worse than the images. Living my best life while boring people stay home and count their pennies. Read one. Another showed her holding a designer purse that probably cost $2,000. When your parents finally recognize who deserves the good life. But it was a post from a week ago that made my blood run cold. Jade stood on a balcony at sunset, champagne glass raised. The caption read, "Some of us are meant for greatness. Others are meant to be forgotten. Know the difference." "They've been there for 2 weeks, Beth said. They lied about everything. The length of the trip, the cost, all of it. I felt something shift inside me. Not just anger, but a clarity I'd never experienced before. My parents hadn't just excluded me. They deliberately deceived me about the scope of their betrayal. Sleep didn't come that night. By 6 in the morning, I was at my kitchen table with my laptop, coffee growing cold beside me. I'd been thinking about my family's business, Holloway Plumbing Supply. My grandfather had started it 40 years ago, building it from a single truck into a thriving operation with 12 employees and annual revenues over $1 million. I'd spent every summer from age 14 to 22 working there, loading trucks, managing inventory, learning the business from the ground up. My grandfather used to put his hand on my shoulder and say, "One day, this will be yours, and Jade's. You'll take care of it together." After he died 5 years ago, my parents took over operations. They'd always told me I'd become a partner once I finished school and established my career. "We're holding your place," my mother had assured me repeatedly. "The business is your inheritance." I contacted Gerald Franklin, the accountant who'd handled the business books for 20 years. Gerald had known me since I was a kid, had watched me grow up around the warehouse. When he answered his cell phone, his voice carried a strange tension. "Armand, I was wondering when you'd call. Gerald, I need to ask you something about the business. Am I still listed as a successor?" The silence stretched too long. "You should check the public business records," he finally said. "I can't discuss client information directly, but anyone can access incorporation documents through the state website." My hands shook as I pulled up the Arizona Corporation Commission website. It took 20 minutes of searching, but I found what I was looking for. The business had been restructured 6 months ago. The ownership documents showed my parents each holding 25% shares. Jade held 50%. My name appeared nowhere in the documents. I called Gerald back. 50%? Jade owns half the business? She doesn't even work there. "I advised against it," Gerald said quietly. "For what it's worth, I argued that both children should be treated equally. Your parents insisted. They said Jade needed security, that you'd built your own career and didn't need the business." "Did they tell Jade about this?" "She was at the signing. She seemed quite pleased with the arrangement. The business was worth approximately $1.2 million. Jade had just been handed $600,000 in equity for doing absolutely nothing. I'd been erased from my grandfather's legacy without even a conversation. I waited until 9 in the morning Phoenix time, then called my parents. My mother answered, her voice wary. "Armand, have you reconsidered helping your sister? Why is Jade listed as a 50% owner of the family business?" The sharp intake of breath told me she hadn't expected me to find out. "How did you know about that?" "Public records." "When were you planning to tell me?" "We were going to discuss it when the time was right. Jade needs security, Armand. She's not as resilient as you. You've always been able to take care of yourself. Grandpa built that business for both of us." My father got on the line. "You chose to leave Phoenix. You chose a different career. The business needs someone who'll be here, who'll stay involved. Jade is that person. She works in marketing. She knows nothing about plumbing supply. She can learn. The point is, she's here. You're not. You made this decision without even talking to me." My mother's voice turned defensive. "You would have made it difficult. You would have argued and created drama. This was easier for everyone. Easier for everyone except me." "You'll be fine," my father said dismissively. "You have your career, your little apartment in Denver. You don't need anything from us." Before I could respond, I heard shuffling and then Jade's voice came on the line. She was clearly intoxicated, her words slightly slurred. Face it, big brother. They love me more. They always have. You were just the practice kid, you know? The trial run before they had the child they actually wanted. Something sharp twisted in my chest. Are you seriously drunk right now? You're in jail in Hawaii, she laughed. They paid my bail an hour ago with business funds. Same funds you helped build, working all those summers for minimum wage. How does that feel? Knowing I just inherited everything you worked for? Jade, that's enough, my mother said in the background. No, let him hear it. I convinced them to cut you out, Armand. I told them you didn't care about the family, that you'd abandoned us by moving away. And they believed every word because deep down, they know you're not as important as me. You never were. White-hot rage flooded through me. You manipulated them into stealing my inheritance. I didn't steal anything. I just helped them see the truth. You're the forgotten child, the one they had before they knew what they were doing. And now you're getting exactly what you deserve, which is nothing. I heard my father shout, "Jade, no," followed by crashing sounds and screaming. The phone line went dead. 30 minutes later, a number with an 808 area code called my phone. Is this Armand Holloway? A professional male voice asked. Yes, this is Detective Ryan Chen with the Honolulu Police Department. I'm calling regarding your sister, Jade Holloway. She's been arrested again. My stomach dropped. Again? What happened? Following a phone call approximately 45 minutes ago, Miss Holloway became extremely agitated and destroyed property in her hotel suite. She caused over $30,000 in damage to furniture, electronics, and fixtures. During an altercation with your mother, she struck her, resulting in visible injuries. Hotel security detained her until we arrived. She's currently being processed on charges of property destruction and domestic assault. I closed my eyes. Is my mother okay? She has a black eye and some bruising on her arms. She's receiving medical attention. Your father is with her. They're both quite shaken. What do you need from me? I'm trying to establish a pattern of behavior. Has your sister exhibited violent tendencies before? Any history of substance abuse or mental health issues? I took a deep breath and told him everything. The college expulsion for academic dishonesty that my parents covered up by making a substantial donation. The DUI 2 years ago that they'd hired an expensive lawyer to plead down to reckless driving. The volatile temper that had cost Jade 3 jobs in 5 years. The manipulation and the lies and the constant enabling. Detective Chen listened without interrupting. When I finished, he said, "Thank you for your honesty. This information is helpful for our investigation." After he hung up, I sat in silence. Beth emerged from the bedroom, having heard the entire conversation. "This is spiraling," she said. "I know. What are you going to do?" I didn't have an answer. My father called 3 hours later. His voice sounded decades older than it had that morning. "Armand, your mother is at the hospital. Jade broke her nose when she hit her. We're waiting to hear if she needs surgery." I felt a complex mixture of concern for my mother and anger at the situation she'd helped create. "I'm sorry she's hurt. The bail is $75,000 this time. We can't afford it. The hotel is threatening to sue us for damages. Everything is falling apart." His voice cracked. "Please, we need you. We made mistakes, I know we did. But she's still your sister. She threatened me on that phone call. She's been systematically destroying our family while you and Mom enabled every terrible choice she made. I know." The admission shocked me. "I know we let it go too far. Your mother and we just kept thinking if we gave her enough support, enough chances, she'd turn her life around. We thought we were helping. You were hurting me to help her. Every single time." "You're right." He was crying now, something I'd never heard before. "You're completely right. And I don't know how to fix any of this." I looked at Beth, who was watching me with careful eyes. I thought about my therapist, Dr. Sarah Monroe, whom I'd started seeing 8 months ago specifically to deal with family trauma. What would she say? "I'll help with the immediate crisis," I said slowly. "But there are conditions. Non-negotiable conditions. Anything. Jade enters a residential treatment program for substance abuse and behavioral issues the minute she's released. Not negotiation, not excuses. It happens." "Agreed. We're going to have a real conversation about the business ownership, with lawyers present. What you did was wrong, and it needs to be addressed. Yes, okay, family therapy. All of us. We either fix this properly, or we don't have a relationship at all. I understand. And Dad, you and Mom need to acknowledge that your favoritism damaged me. Really acknowledge it. Not just give it lip service. That's the price of my help. There was a long pause. You deserve better than we gave you. I see that now. Your mother is starting to see it too. I wired $15,000 that afternoon. Not the full amount they requested, but enough to help. I hired a lawyer in Honolulu named Jennifer Katz to negotiate with the hotel on their behalf. I arranged for Jade to be evaluated by a forensic psychologist who specialized in behavioral disorders. I booked a flight to Maui for the following morning. Beth packed my bag while I made phone calls. "You're a better person than I'd be," she said. "I'm not doing this for them. I'm doing it because I need to be able to live with myself." That night, as I tried to sleep before my early flight, an email arrived. The sender was listed as Jade M. Holloway. I almost deleted it without reading, but something made me open it. The message was pure venom. "You think you're so noble, don't you? Riding in to save the day. But we both know what this really is. You're trying to control me. You're trying to use this situation to finally get attention from Mom and Dad. Poor forgotten Armand. Finally getting to be the hero. I don't have a drinking problem. I don't have behavioral issues. Everyone else is overreacting to normal stress responses. But you're going to use this to try to force me into treatment like I'm some kind of addict. You're trying to humiliate me. Here's what I want you to understand. If you push this treatment plan, if you try to control my life, I will make you regret it. I'll tell everyone what you really are. I'll tell them how you abused me when we were kids, how you hit me, how you terrorized me, how you made my childhood a nightmare. Don't test me, Armand. You have a nice little career as a physical therapist. Would be a shame if accusations of violence destroyed that, wouldn't it? Think about what happens when the licensing board investigates claims of abuse. Think about what happens to your reputation. I'm attaching a draft police report I've prepared. It details years of physical abuse. Names, dates, specific incidents. All lies, of course. But who's going to believe you over me? I'm the victim. I'm always the victim. Back off, or I'll destroy you. Attached to the email was a 3-page document outlining a fictional history of abuse. She'd been thorough, inventing incidents with specific details that would be hard to disprove. She'd even named witnesses, other family members who'd supposedly seen me hurt her. My hands shook as I forwarded the email to Jennifer Katz with a brief explanation. She called me within 10 minutes. "This is extortion," she said, "and it's evidence of a pattern of manipulation. Save everything. Don't delete anything. This helps our case significantly. But I won't lie to you. False abuse allegations can be devastating, even when they're proven untrue. What do I do? Document everything. I'll start preparing a defense. And Armand? You need to be ready for her to follow through on this threat. People like your sister don't bluff." I didn't sleep that night. The Phoenix Police Department called me at 7:30 the next morning, just as I was boarding my flight to Maui. I had to step out of the boarding line and find a quiet corner of the terminal. "Mr. Holloway, I'm Officer Stephanie Walsh. I need to speak with you regarding a complaint filed by your sister, Jade Holloway. She's alleging a pattern of physical abuse spanning several years. Can you come to the station for questioning?" My worst fear, realized. I'm about to board a flight to Hawaii. I can come in when I return tomorrow. That would be fine. I should inform you that we take abuse allegations very seriously. You may want to have legal representation present. I called Patricia Morton, my lawyer in Denver, from the gate. She listened grimly to the situation. "Don't speak to the police without me present. I'll contact a colleague in Phoenix who can represent you there. In the meantime, I need you to compile evidence of your whereabouts for every date she's claiming abuse occurred. Work schedules, apartment lease, showing you were in Denver, credit card statements, anything that proves you weren't in Phoenix when she says you were." The flight to Maui felt endless. I kept thinking about my career, my license, my reputation. Even false allegations could follow me forever. Beth had insisted on coming with me, rearranging her teaching schedule. She held my hand during takeoff. "We'll fight this," she said. The truth matters. But I'd seen enough news stories to know that wasn't always enough. When we landed, I had 17 missed calls. 13 were from my parents. 3 were from colleagues at work. 1 was from my boss, Dr. Harold Simmons. I called Harold first. His voice was stiff and uncomfortable. Armand, I received a call this morning from someone claiming to be a detective investigating abuse allegations against you. I'm going to need to place you on administrative leave pending the outcome of this investigation. It's policy. Harold, the allegations are false. My sister is trying to intimidate me. I believe you, but I have to follow protocol. Patient safety is paramount. I'm sorry. My career, the thing I'd worked so hard to build, was crumbling. I wanted to scream. My parents were waiting in the hotel lobby when we arrived. My mother's face was swollen and bruised, her nose bandaged. She looked 10 years older than she had in the vacation photos. My father's expression was hollow. She filed the police report, my mother said without preamble. We told her not to. We told her it wasn't true. She did it anyway. She sent me a threatening email first, I said, showing them the message on my phone. She warned me this would happen if I didn't back down. My father read it, his face growing paler with each line. She's done this before, he said quietly. What? I stared at him. Not the abuse allegations specifically, but false reports. Threats. She accused her college roommate of stealing from her after they had an argument. She filed a report with campus police. It was all lies. The roommate had to transfer schools because of the harassment. My mother sank into a chair. She threatened to claim your father hit her if we didn't co-sign for her car 3 years ago. We were terrified. We just kept giving her what she wanted to keep the peace. Why didn't you ever tell me any of this? We were ashamed, my mother whispered. We kept thinking if we just loved her enough, supported her enough, she'd change. But she only got worse. And the more we gave her, the more entitled she became. I felt my anger shift into something colder. You created this. Both of you. You enabled an abuser because you were afraid of her. We know. My father's voice broke. God help us. We know. Over the next 48 hours, I worked with Patricia and Jennifer to build my defense. The evidence was overwhelming that Jade's allegations were fabricated. I'd been in Denver during most of the dates she cited, with work records, apartment security footage, and witness statements proving it. For the few dates where I had been in Phoenix visiting, I'd been with my parents the entire time, and they confirmed I'd never been alone with Jade. Gerald, the family accountant, came forward with his own statement. He detailed conversations where Jade had explicitly discussed manipulating the family, including bragging about how easy it was to control our parents with threats. The Phoenix police reviewed the evidence and closed their investigation within 3 days, determining the allegations were false. Detective Chen in Hawaii added the false report to Jade's growing list of charges, but the damage lingered. My employer reinstated me, but several colleagues now treated me differently. Beth's parents, who'd been planning to invite me to their holiday gathering, suddenly seemed distant. Social media posts from Jade's friends painted me as a privileged man trying to destroy his sister for speaking her truth. Then Gerald called with news that made everything worse. Your parents are selling the business, he said. They claim they need liquidity to cover legal expenses and hotel damages. I went numb. When? They've already accepted an offer. The sale closes in 2 weeks. What about the ownership structure? What about my grandfather's wishes? They're the majority shareholders. They can do what they want. I confronted them that evening in their hotel room. My mother couldn't meet my eyes. We have no choice, she said. The legal bills are catastrophic. The hotel is suing us. We'll lose everything if we don't sell. And the proceeds? How will those be divided? Silence. Mom, how will the money be divided? Jade will need most of it, my father said. With her legal troubles, she won't be able to work. She'll need financial support to rebuild her life. I laughed, a harsh sound with no humor in it. She falsely accused me of abuse, threatened to destroy my career, and you're still choosing her. You're still giving her everything. She needs it more than you, my mother said weakly. She needs consequences. She needs to face what she's done. But you'll never give her that because you're terrified of her. My father's face hardened. You don't understand what it's like to have a child who's struggling. No, I understand what it's like to be the child who's ignored while their sibling destroys everything and everyone around them. I walked out. Beth followed me into the humid Hawaiian night. We stood on the beach, watching waves crash against dark rocks. I'm done, I said. I'm completely done with all of them. Good, Beth said. They don't deserve you. Back in Denver, I made a decision. I called Patricia and gave her authorization to pursue full legal action against Jade for defamation, filing false police reports, and extortion. The threatening email constituted a clear case of extortion under Colorado law. Are you sure? Patricia asked. This will be expensive and emotionally draining, I'm sure. She's gotten away with this behavior her entire life. It stops now. I contacted Detective Chen and provided him with every piece of evidence I had about Jade's pattern of manipulation and violence. I cooperated fully with the hotel's lawsuit against my parents and Jade. If they wanted to enable her, they could face the legal consequences. Gerald turned out to be an unexpected ally. He provided detailed financial records, showing that Jade had embezzled $23,000 from the business over 2 years, making small transfers to her personal account and falsifying expense reports. The paper trail was clear and damning. Other victims emerged. A woman named Rachel Carter, Jade's former college roommate, reached out after seeing news coverage of the Hawaii arrest. She told me about the false theft accusations, about months of harassment, about having to hire a lawyer to clear her name. A former boyfriend named Travis Bennett described a relationship filled with gaslighting, false allegations, and threats. A co-worker from Jade's previous job detailed workplace bullying and a sexual harassment claim Jade had filed against a manager who'd simply asked her to stop coming in late. The pattern was undeniable. Jade was a serial manipulator who weaponized victimhood and destroyed anyone who stood in her way. My parents flew back to Phoenix and came directly to Denver. They appeared at my apartment unannounced, looking defeated. I let them in because I was curious what they could possibly say. My mother's nose was still healing, the bruises fading to yellow and green. She sat on my couch and sobbed. She's sick. She needs help, not prison. I offered help. I arranged for treatment. She chose threats and false accusations instead. If you go through with these charges, she could go to prison for years. Yes. I kept my voice level. She assaulted a bartender. She destroyed property. She filed false police reports. She extorted me. She embezzled from the business. She hit you. Those are crimes, Mom. They have consequences. My father tried the anger approach. If you do this, you're not our son anymore. You're choosing to destroy your own sister. She's destroyed herself. I'm just refusing to clean up the mess anymore. I looked at them both. You made a choice years ago to prioritize her over me every single time. You chose her when you took her to Hawaii and lied to me. You chose her when you gave her half the business. You chose her when you believed her lies over my truth. You're still choosing her now, even after she hit you. So let's not pretend this is about me being cruel. This is about you finally facing what you created. My mother reached for my hand. I pulled away. But she's family, she whispered. Family is supposed to love and protect each other. Family isn't supposed to enable abuse and manipulation. You want me to sacrifice my career, my reputation, my peace of mind, and my future for someone who's actively trying to destroy me. That's not family. That's hostage-taking. Beth appeared in the doorway. She'd been giving us privacy, but she stepped forward now. I think you both should leave. After they left, Beth wrapped her arms around me. You did the right thing. Then why does it feel so horrible? Because you're a good person who wanted good parents, and you didn't get them. Over the following weeks, the legal machinery ground forward. In Hawaii, Jade was formally charged with assault causing bodily injury, criminal property damage in the first degree, filing a false police report, and attempted extortion. In Arizona, she faced embezzlement charges. The prosecutor in Honolulu told Jennifer that given the multiple charges and pattern of behavior, Jade could face up to 7 years in prison if convicted on all counts. My workplace reinstated me fully after reviewing all the evidence. My boss Harold called to apologize personally. I never doubted you, but I had to follow protocol. Your integrity through this whole situation has been remarkable. Beth's family, understanding the full story now, welcomed me back with genuine warmth. Her father pulled me aside at a family dinner and said, "Any man who stands up to that kind of toxicity with grace is someone I'm proud to know." My parents faced their own consequences. The business sale fell through when the buyer discovered the embezzlement. They'd have to disclose the theft in any future sale, significantly reducing the value. The hotel in Hawaii sued for damages and won a judgment of $38,000. Their homeowner's insurance dropped them after learning that Jade's activities triggered a liability claim. They faced potential foreclosure on their house. They called me one final time. My father's voice was barely recognizable. "Can you lend us money? We'll pay you back. We're going to lose the house." The audacity was breathtaking. After everything, they still thought I should rescue them from consequences they'd brought on themselves. "No," I said. The word felt clean in my mouth. "But we're your parents. We gave you life. And I've spent 28 years trying to earn love that was never going to come. I thought there was something wrong with me. I thought if I just worked harder, achieved more, caused less trouble, you'd see me. But you never did. And you never will." "That's not fair," my mother protested in the background. "You made your choices. You chose Jade over me at every single turn. You chose her until there was nothing left to give. Now you get to live with those choices." "We made mistakes," my father said. "But we're still your parents. Parents protect their children. Parents treat them fairly. Parents don't enable one child to destroy another. You failed at all of that. I'm done being your backup plan." I hung up and blocked their numbers. The weight that lifted from my shoulders was physical. For the first time in my entire life, I felt free. 6 months later, my life looked completely different. Jade had accepted a plea deal to avoid trial. 18 months in prison, 5 years probation, mandatory substance abuse treatment, and mental health counseling. She was required to pay restitution of $30,000 to the hotel and $15,000 to Marcus, the bartender she'd injured. Her professional reputation was destroyed. Her social media accounts, once filled with bragging and selfies, were deleted. She wrote me one letter from prison. I recognized her handwriting on the envelope. Beth asked if I was going to read it. I thought about it for 3 days, then finally opened it. The letter didn't contain an apology. Instead, it blamed me for overreacting, for ruining her life, for being vindictive. She claimed the family would never forgive me for what I'd done to her. The letter ended with, "I hope you're happy now." I was, actually. Not happy about her situation, but happy to be free from the toxicity. I didn't respond. Some people never change, and Jade was one of them. My parents sold their house and moved into a small 2-bedroom condo in a less expensive part of Phoenix. They sold the business at a significant loss to a competitor. My mother reached out through my Aunt Linda, asking if I'd be willing to meet with them. I agreed to one session with a family therapist present. We met at Dr. Monroe's office, a neutral space where I felt safe. The session was brutal. My mother struggled to truly acknowledge the damage they'd caused, falling back on excuses and justifications. My father was more genuine in his remorse. "We were afraid of her," he admitted. "We've been afraid of her for years. She threatened to hurt herself if we didn't give her what she wanted. She threatened to cut us off. We were trying to keep the peace, but we sacrificed you to do it." "You didn't just sacrifice me," I said. "You enabled an abuser. You created a monster and then fed her whatever she wanted. And now you're paying the price. Can you forgive us?" my mother asked. "I don't know," I answered honestly. "Right now, I'm working on healing. Whether forgiveness comes later is something I can't predict." I established strict boundaries. We could have supervised contact through therapy, but no financial entanglement, no discussion of Jade, and therapy had to continue if they wanted any relationship with me. They agreed, though I suspected my mother would eventually violate those boundaries. That was a problem for future Armand. My career flourished. I was promoted to senior physical therapist at my clinic, with a significant raise. I was asked to mentor newer therapists and develop treatment protocols. The false allegations hadn't destroyed me. If anything, my integrity through the crisis had strengthened my professional reputation. Beth and I got engaged on a hiking trip in Rocky Mountain National Park. She said yes before I'd finished asking. Her family embraced me completely, treating me with the love and respect my own parents never had. I started a support group for people dealing with toxic family dynamics. We met twice a month at a community center. 12 people attended the first meeting. Within 3 months, we had a waiting list. Apparently, I wasn't the only one struggling with the pain of familial betrayal. I reconnected with extended family members who'd also been pushed away by my parents' dysfunction. My cousin Ryan revealed that our grandparents would have been devastated by how the business situation was handled. They wanted that legacy to belong to both of you equally, he said. They talked about it all the time. Then something unexpected happened. The buyer who'd backed out of purchasing the business contacted me directly. His name was Douglas Webb, and he'd been impressed by how I'd handled the entire crisis. "I've been watching how this all played out," he said over coffee. "Your integrity, your honesty with investigators, your willingness to let the truth come out even when it was painful. That tells me everything I need to know about your character. I appreciate that, but I'm not sure why you're telling me. I still want to buy the business, but I'd like you to be part of it. I need someone I can trust to help expand operations. I'm offering you a consulting position, with potential for a profit-sharing partnership down the line." I was stunned. My parents still own it. They're selling to someone else. The deal fell through. They're desperate. I can make it work if you're interested. I thought about my grandfather, about the summers I'd spent learning the business, about the legacy that should have been mine. "Let me talk to my fiancé." Beth's response was immediate. "Do it. This is your chance to honor your grandfather's memory." Within 2 months, I was working part-time as a consultant for Holloway Plumbing Supply, now under new ownership. Douglas gave me full authority to modernize systems, improve customer service, and expand into new markets. My physical therapy career continued full-time, but I spent evenings and weekends helping rebuild the business. My parents received enough from the sale to avoid bankruptcy. We had no contact beyond the necessary legal communications. A year after the Hawaii incident, Beth and I got married in a small ceremony in the mountains. My parents weren't invited. Beth's father walked me down the aisle alongside her, saying it would be his honor. I cried through most of the ceremony, overwhelmed by the love surrounding me. I realized something profound during our wedding reception. Real family isn't determined by blood or obligation. It's built by people who show up, who respect you, who celebrate your successes and support you through failures. Beth's family became my family. My friends became my family. The support group members became my family. One afternoon, I visited my grandfather's grave in the cemetery outside Phoenix. I hadn't been there in 3 years. I told him about the business, about the partnership, about how I was working to honor the legacy he'd built. "I'm sorry it took so long," I said to the gravestone. "I'm sorry I let them push me out, but I'm back now, and I'm going to make you proud." As I sat there in the grass, Beth appeared with 2 cups of coffee from a nearby shop. She sat beside me, not speaking, just being present. That was love. That was family. We stood to leave, and I took one last look at the grave. "Some people are meant for greatness," I said, echoing Jade's cruel Instagram caption. "But greatness isn't about how much you take. It's about what you build and who you lift up along the way." Beth took my hand, and we walked toward our car. In my pocket was an unopened letter from my mother. I'd read it eventually, but on my terms, in my time. I was learning that I didn't owe anyone access to my peace. Here's what I learned through all of this. I spent 28 years trying to earn love that was never going to come. I thought there was something wrong with me, that I needed to achieve more, be more, do more to deserve my parents' attention. But favoritism isn't about the worth of the overlooked child. It's about the blindness of the parents and the entitlement of the favored one. Walking away from toxicity isn't giving up on family. Sometimes it's the only way to build a real life. Sometimes the most loving thing you can do for yourself is refuse to participate in your own diminishment. And here's what surprised me. Being the unfavored child was actually a gift. Because I wasn't coddled, I developed resilience. Because I wasn't handed everything, I learned the value of hard work. Because I wasn't constantly praised, I learned to find validation from within. Jade, given every advantage, developed nothing but entitlement and manipulation skills. She's the one who truly lost. The people who truly matter will prove it through actions, not words. My parents chose my sister until there was nothing left to give her. I chose myself, and that choice saved my life. Today, I'm building the family I deserved all along. Beth and I are expecting our first child, a daughter we're naming Eleanor after my grandmother. We've already decided that she'll grow up knowing her worth isn't conditional. She'll know that love isn't something you earn through achievement or people-pleasing. She'll know that healthy families celebrate all their members equally. And it starts with knowing your worth isn't determined by who failed to see it. I still think about my parents sometimes. I wonder if they truly understand what they lost. I wonder if they ever will. But those thoughts come less frequently now. I'm too busy building something beautiful with people who actually value me. That's the real victory. Not that Jade faced consequences, though justice matters. Not that I got a piece of the business back, though that felt right. The real victory is that I'm free. Free from the desperate need for their approval. Free from the belief that I'm somehow less than. Free to build a life based on authenticity and mutual respect. If you're the forgotten child, the overlooked one, the child who had to earn every scrap of attention, hear me. It's not about you. It never was. Your parents' inability to see your value doesn't diminish it. Their choices reflect their limitations, not yours. You get to decide what family means. You get to choose who has access to your life. And you get to walk away from relationships that diminish you, even when those relationships are with the people who gave you life. That's not abandonment. That's survival. That's self-respect. That's choosing the life you deserve over the dysfunction you were born into. Now I want to hear from you. Have you ever dealt with favoritism in your family? How did you handle it? What advice would you give to someone going through something similar? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. Your story might help someone else who's struggling. If this story resonated with you, please hit that like button and subscribe to hear more real-life stories about overcoming family challenges. Share this with someone who needs to hear that they're not alone in dealing with toxic family dynamics. Your support helps us create more content for people navigating difficult relationships. Thank you for listening to my story. I hope it brought you some comfort if you've faced similar struggles. Remember, you're worthy of love, respect, and a place at the table. If your birth family can't provide that, you have every right to build a chosen family who will. Take care of yourselves out there. Protect your peace. And never forget your worth.